Howdy, I'm Claude. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, press like if you like this video. Do whatever, enjoy your stay. I like to talk about Frank Castle, and that's what we'll be talking about today with a dash of philosophy. Mostly philosophy with a dash of Frank Castle, or Frank Castle mostly with a dash of philosophy, however you want to view it. It's Frank Castle and philosophy time. My favorite topics. So, we're going to be talking about how Frank's previous experience as having been a failed priest, or a man that had tried to join the priesthood but couldn't because he could not forgive sinners, and people that came into confession and confessed their sins, he could not forgive them or find him in himself to forgive them, to become a man of the cloth. And so, until then, after he joined the Marines, and then his family dying, to him becoming the Punisher, and how that gradual chain of events led him to where he is now, insofar as his morals being what they are now. So, generally, before law was established as it was now, priests were figures of legislation and interpreters of the law, going from reading various religious texts to interpret them into legal senses. So because of this, we take this as Frank being a failed priest, having been a figure that would have interpreted holy texts as being various religious sorts of law. So you can see Frank as a failed priest being a failed interpreter of law, of religious sort of order for people, and a failed interpretation of law itself. And this bodes dangerously for any police officers that idolize him, because police officers do in the Punisher comics idolize him as well. And it's dangerous. So this brings into play Euthyphro's dilemma, which is the dilemma of, is it good because God commands it, or does God command it because it is good? And then the answers to that being, if something is good because God commands it, being positive law, then what is right becomes arbitrary. And then in natural law, if God commands it because it is right, then God becomes superfluous insofar what is right. Both of that meaning, if it's good because God commands it, then right is arbitrary. If it's good because God commands it, it just goes out the window. If it's just good because God commands it, it doesn't matter anymore. What's right is arbitrary. It doesn't matter anymore if what's right or wrong. Because God commands it, not everyone believes in the same God. Not everyone believes in a God in the first place. Frank Castle certainly doesn't believe in God anymore. And if he does, it's a broken and different God than what anyone else would. His relationship with God is broken. He lost faith in God the day his family died. Then, if God commands it because it's good, then God itself becomes superfluous. You don't need God because things are already right as is. You don't need God to tell you that it's right because it's already right. So the way Frank Castle sees things is it's just natural law as is. Natural law exists if we are aware of it or not. It's the general thing you can get out of philosophy of law. And that's what I have for my notes as far, and the rest is going off the cuff, so I apologize if I ramble. Frank Castle holds a very different set of morals that do not abide by normal sets of morals. And that's very clear by how he distinguishes things, but he is in no way easily corrupted. He views things on different tiers of morality, and his morality is skewed as is. he has no issue with murdering people, but he justifies his murder by corruption. And he doesn't... Most people would say, a lot of people that support Frank Castle seem to have the wrong idea of what he does exactly. Because to understand Frank Castle's philosophies, you have to understand certain issues, certain sociology issues. You have to study... If you read Frank Castle carefully, you can read the philosophy behind him, the sociology behind him. As soon as I started reading philosophy after being a fan of The Punisher for years, so much suddenly fell into place, and it felt right to me. And I just fell in love with The Punisher more and more, and it was perfect. And that's why I'd love to continue this series and do more talking and get more comfortable in front of a camera to talk about Frank Castle and my love for him ever more. Just to share how much I love him and share more knowledge about philosophy to make it palpable and learning about it to other people. So, in this, with Euthyphro's dilemma, Frank Castle views God as superfluous, unneeded, because he believes in the natural order of things. So he views things with a natural pecking order, but he also understands sociology well enough, and that socioeconomic differences, socioeconomic statuses, that poverty is an issue in America, that a corrupt police force, especially now given the current climate of things, is an issue. Racism is an issue. Systemic racism is an issue here. There was a very controversial time in the 90s where they made Frank Castle a black man for a reason I can't quite remember, but he's experienced that as a form of racism towards him when he was transformed into a black man for a few issues. Don't ask me, I don't know the details, I don't remember them. I have the memory of a goldfish cracker. But otherwise, he's not stupid. He's a well-educated man. He reads. He's very philosophical. He knows his literature. He focuses on helping people in an unconventional way. Yes, he does a lot of murder and killing and a lot of tactical things based on murder and killing because he genuinely enjoys murder, death, and blood. But he's still human somewhere, even though he believes himself a monster. He's deeply psychologically fucked. And I'd like to go into that somewhere later too. But Frank Castle is complicated. And I'd like to go over this for the next few years in lots and lots of videos. And some of them might be longer than others. Because I've been doing this for years to my friends and family, much to their evident disdain. And I'd like to continue doing it to whatever audience I build. Because I love him, and I would love to share my love with him with you all. And I think that's a good ending for this video. It was a bit rambly, but I'm sorry. I'm just very excited to share my knowledge with you all. My passion for ethics and philosophy and Frank Castle. I'm really excited to start this journey with you all. Thank you very much, and it'll be a pleasure to see you in my next video. Much love, stay hydrated, stay safe. Have a nice day, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have fun, stay safe, and stay well. Bye!